right before a huge expose came out saying that Bob Chapek was undermined all the way by Bob Iger, sometimes by Bob Iger directly betraying the financial interests of the Walt Disney Company, it sounds like Nelson Peltz is freeing up his schedule to do more work with Trian Fund Management. Let's talk about Bob Iger's biggest rival here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is Disney Experience Manager, Mr. VashSky. I should have said Disney Expert, but for some reason it turned into that word.
Well, some people have advocated, Jonas, for us to be part of the Experiences Division at Disney. So maybe that's even more appropriate than what you originally intended.
I think you do an excellent job at that, Vash. I think you would be an excellent head of parks, even if it's for a little while, just to fix a couple of changes they've got on the docket, maybe to stop the cement trucks from pouring into the rivers of America. But before we talk about that, let's talk about this guy right here, Nelson Peltz. He has resigned as the chairman of Wendy's board. Look at that right there. That's a very worried looking Nelson Peltz, or maybe he's being very pensive and chewing somebody out there. He's probably on stage at a summit somewhere. Nelson Peltz, for those of you who are not aware, is the guy who ran the proxy fight in order to get a seat on the Walt Disney board. He's run two proxy fights, technically, because he retreated, quote unquote, retreated there for a little while. Really what he did is he paused it so he didn't have to do constant SEC filings. This guy almost got a seat on the Walt Disney Company board. 33% of shareholders who voted in favor of Nelson Peltz getting a seat over Mary Elena Lagomasino, who is the current head of the compensation committee there at the Walt Disney Company. Bob Iger, of course, in recent statements, in that recent New York Times article said, no, he didn't want to come back for money. Otherwise, people will say that he did it for money. Meanwhile, he's fought hardest to protect the person who has approved all those massive pay packages that Bob Iger got. Bob Iger, even in the years that Bob Chapek got paid for 3 years of work in 1 year, Bob Iger still made more than Bob Chapek. So somehow they didn't get that memo that Bob Iger didn't want to do it for money. Meanwhile, Nelson Peltz right here got denied his board seat and sold a majority of his Disney shares. And it's been said that he may be back, but it's also said that he's out of the proxy fight altogether. This article would seem to indicate he's looking to get more involved over there at Trian. Nelson Peltz has resigned as chairman of Wendy's board to devote more time to his hedge fund and other board commitments. It is with much emotion that I am writing this letter to you after serving as chairman of Wendy's since 2008. That's one Ironman ago, and one Ironman 1 ago, and as CEO and chairman of the company's predecessor Triarch companies prior to that time, Peltz said in his letter of resignation on Friday. His decision to step down comes after the 82-year-old billionaire's hedge fund, Trian Partners, earlier this year unsuccessfully waged war on one of the most expensive proxy fights in history against Walt Disney. The fund was attempting to gain 2 seats on the media giant's board and challenge chief executive Bob Iger's business strategy. The proxy fight came at a tumultuous time for the hedge fund. That's understating it here because it also came at a very tumultuous time for Disney, currently trading at half of what it did in March of, 2021. Let's see. Trian's discretionary assets under management, or assets it has full control over, had been increasing steadily for years, reaching a peak of $12.5 billion in 2015, but they have declined in 6 of the past 8 years, dragged down by soured bets, the Wall Street Journal reported. The hedge fund began building a stake in British consumer goods giant Unilever in early 2022, but has since begun selling its shares in the company. At Wendy's, Peltz, who is given the honorary title of Chairman Emeritus, will be succeeded by lead independent director Arthur Winkelback, the restaurant chain said. The board also reduced its size from 11 directors to 11 directors from 12. I look forward to continuing our discussions as a large shareholder, Peltz said. So essentially, this is an article about Wendy's right here, but this is the sentence that is the impetus for the conversation. Nelson Peltz has resigned as chairman of Wendy's board to devote more time to his hedge fund and other board commitments. Right here. Nelson Peltz is about to have a lot more time on his hand. He's also very good friends with Mr. Ike Perlmutter. Vash, you want to tell people who Ike Perlmutter is briefly, because we talk about him a lot.
Oh, yes. Ike Perlmutter being the previous head of Marvel and being one of the largest single shareholders after he sold the company to Disney back in, 2009 now it was, and obviously apparently attempted to get Kevin Feige removed from his position, or at least a change at Marvel leadership at Marvel Studios back in 2015. And then obviously, that didn't go very well for Ike Perlmutter. He was sidelined. Then later on, was actually fired by Bob Iger during his second round at CEO as part of a big $7.5 billion in cuts, 8,000 employees, as we come to know it, and has recently pulled out of Disney altogether, apparently liquidating his shares there, but saying that he might return if the share price hits about $60 to $70. So definitely an influential player and somebody who knows Nelson Peltz quite well.
That's right. And just to point out, you were slightly off on your figures there. I do believe it is $65 to $75 a share, which tends to be the direction that Disney is heading to these days. Just for everyone's reference, right now, the Walt Disney Company is trading for $88.49 as of the recording of this video. If we go out 5 days, it's a slow decline from $89.95. We go out 3 months, it's a decline. If we go out 6 months, it's a decline. We could do year to date if we want. It was up and then it was a decline. Or if we go out 5 years, this right here is where Bob Iger decided to start undermining Bob Chapek right here in March of 2021, trading at $200 a share, which might have been Bob Chapek's biggest crime here of overshadowing Mr. Iger there. This is also the point at the video that we released yesterday, at which Bob Iger insisted that Gavin Newsom needed to force Disney to shut down Disneyland. Did not consult Bob Chapek on that decision, despite the fact that Bob Chapek was CEO of the company at the time. Now, we don't need to spend too much time rehashing that video. You should probably go check that out. Another thing that's been pointed out here, Ike Perlmutter, of course, liquidated those shares, as pretty much indicated that he will be back if the company continues in the direction that it's going. I don't know if he's going to adjust for inflation if the Walt Disney Company continues in its current doldrums here. Peltz has not said he's out. We've got about one more month before Peltz would announce if he used the same number of funds and went at Disney again. It might not be the best decision for him to do that, by the way. There might be another company that he wouldn't have to fight so hard to get on the board if he was to use Trian funds, or if someone else that was interested. We do know that Elon Musk and Nelson Peltz do talk on occasion, and they do talk about Disney. It seems to be based off of Elon Musk's jokes that he has made publicly here. Elon Musk might have another $50 billion in his pockets sometime soon, minus taxes. And that could shake things up at the Disney company. Right here, the market cap for the company, otherwise known as the collective stock price of the company, when you add up all those shares, is $160 billion. Right here, 50 billion could go a long way towards buying a large portion of the company. Nelson Peltz was able to rock the boat with less than 5% of shares, and I don't think that it's a good idea to buy that much of a failing company right now. And again, no stock price, no stock advice on this channel ever. Do not take stock advice from YouTubers here, but I think that Nelson Peltz having more of a focus on Trian either means that Disney needs to look out, or it means that he's moving on to look for other targets. I don't know which. Vash, what do you think?
Well, it is around that season, isn't it? If we're looking or examining 2022 and 2023, it's always around this time, and Nelson Peltz always tends to show up there. And remember, Disney spent, I believe, a combined $40 million, if not more, on their proxy battle with Nelson Peltz the last time. And Peltz actually got pretty far into the game there. Now, obviously, tact would have to change this time around, but it does seem, Jonas, based on this article that you bring forward here, that he is clearing the deck for something. Who knows what that is? Perhaps the alleged activation between Wendy's and SpongeBob. Bringing those Krabby Patties. Maybe he's just so delighted about that new association there. He just get out while the getting's good, right?
Oh, fascinating. I love that. I love that. Yeah. And I have not had the Krabby Patty yet. I don't know when that's coming out, but I might be tempted to actually go find out what they're selling over there at Wendy's. Now, with that being said, we want to throw this to our commenters. Obviously, this is not as extensive of a video as we usually do here on the channel. Going to cut it a little short. But I want to ask, what do you think about this situation? Is Nelson Peltz getting ready to fight Disney again, or will he be moving on to see if he can make waves in some other media company? Perhaps not a media company, because it seems like media companies not doing so hot these days. Maybe he can just buy an entire Warner Brothers for not much money there. With that being said, we do need to wrap this up here. Throw us your comments in the comment section down below. Like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.